Okay, it's Saturday, May 7th at just before noon, and it's time for another update. Actually, first before we go into this, I want to apologize because I got all excited when I was doing my update on the tomato plant. Not that the last update was incorrect, except that our little tomato down here, I'm trying to get in frame, so I can get on the leaves there. I said that you're seeing it at the same time that I'm seeing it. Well, I forgot the fact that I wasn't broadcasting live, so you'll see this at the next update, and might as well do this. This is the next update, and when I put the next episode on, I'm going to try and put one on today. Anyway, moving on. Tomatoes, tap, tap, tap. Oh, I guess I just lost one, but I guess it wasn't very strong anyway. So that's that. Not a whole lot of change on the tomatoes. Today is overcast, and it looks like it's going to be overcast for the next couple of days, but it's a nice pleasant break from the heat that we've had this past week. Moving on, we've got the squash, and another thing I noticed during the week is I've got some labeled as hybrid and some labeled as Dixie, and it turns out the hybrid is kind of a misnomer. I've been giving it the wrong name. This is a straight neck, that's a crook neck. They're both the yellow squash. So I'm going to have to relabel all the ones that say hybrid. But I also did a little research and found out about the flowers, and let me see if I can kind of show you. Well, you can kind of see there's a flower trying to come in down there. Better examples, not on this one. Let's move over. Okay, well, we'll have to go with this one. It turns out there's two different kinds of flowers. For those that don't already know this, there's two different kinds of flowers on a squash plant. There's the male and the female. And the male is just a stem leading up to the flower. The female has a little bud down below it. So I guess that means that in this one tiny little pot with a, to be correct here, straight neck, this is a female flower. Now I've got other buds all over the other plants. Actually, there's a bunch of buds on this one here, and you can see they're male. From the research I did online, it looks like I can expect a bunch of male flowers before the plant gets really big. But what's interesting is this one particular plant seems to have a female growing. So I don't know if that means I'm actually going to get a squash out of this plant from that flower, or if maybe it's just so early that the flower will come up, but the bud will actually die and wilt or whatever. So we'll see. Anyway, moving on to the rest of things. So that's the squash plants. That's kind of how they're doing. We've got a pole bean here, which has just been really scrawny. It's still looking green and live, but maybe it's time to put it in another pot or something like that, so it'll somehow get some other life into it. Over here, as I move up, you can see there's a pea pod, and then there's another pea pod over here. No actual beans coming in on the bean plants, not yet anyway. There's evidence, I think, there that the grasshopper came back and got another leaf, but he really hasn't done too much more damage. And then we have down here what I think is the lima bean. I'm not sure. We'll find out when it grows. The corn is doing nicely, but it needs to be in a larger pot now because I've got two of them growing side by side there. Another squash plant here, which is, I think, actually unlabeled. Oh no, sorry, it's got this stake in the back, so that's a scallop squash. And that has the beginnings of a bunch of male flowers. I finally got a lemon cucumber growing. Doesn't look like much, but I finally got one growing. I think there were actually 4 seeds in this pot. Only one of them is taken. The broom corn is doing nicely, although it looks like this one here has died. I'm not sure why. I've been watering them all equally. It's not like I haven't been watering that one spot, so it seems kind of random, but we'll see what happens. The watermelon's doing nicely. And then we got this pot down here, which I don't talk about a whole lot. But we've got I guess that's a pole bean because it's wrapping itself around the pole. We'll see. Again, unlabeled. I'm not sure exactly what I've got. So let's go downstairs. Okay, I'm zoomed in as far as I can get, and I've got my camera on the wall, but it's still a tad shaky. That is, I believe, I finally identified this as one of the straight necks. The leaves are huge. I don't see much evidence of flowers yet, but we'll see, just being in a bigger pot, how much different this one behaves. Meanwhile, the flower pots are doing nicely. I think the Miracle-Gro helped in this particular pot because I can see some more growth. I think that's actually more petunia coming off the old petunia, which is kind of dying back here. The other one in there, I'm not sure what that is. It's a different leaf pattern. And the one in the back, I'm not sure what that is. So I planted a bunch of random seeds in here, and we'll see what pops. This one's a small pot, but still got some nice petunias in it. Over here, I've moved some of the planters off of here, and I'll explain that in a bit. We've got our other plant here. I'm not sure what you call it. I've heard the name before, I just forget. Still only got the one flower cluster there, but still growing, so we'll see. And finally, we've got the pots on this side of the patio, and there's been a bit of a development because I'm still running out of space. I'm really going to have to figure out what to do with all the extra plants, but I basically want one of each for myself. I'll even share the produce, but the extras that I've got, I'm going to have to figure out how to get them new homes. If any of you have suggestions, I don't know if I want to give out my address and all the rest of that, but we'll see what we can come up with. But here's the new development. I've actually created another shelf down here, put up more cinder blocks. I had these cinder blocks for years, and they were just sitting outside in a corner. So I pulled them, stacked them up on the ground there, got another fence board, and made another shelf. So now we've got sort of a tier system here, 2 tiers. Apologies for that. If you can hear it, we do have a fire department not too far away from here, so every so often you hear that. We got Dixie, and these are probably straight neck. I'm going to have to start doing better labeling on these. We've got the flowers back there. We got another watermelon. We got a Dixie there. We got a spaghetti squash here. We've got a scallop squash here, which is doing nicely and is probably going to need a larger pot. Got another Dixie with a really nice flower on it. Let's actually look. Now the flowers appear to be all male right now. We got another bean plant, really scrawny. We got another squash plant in here. I'm not sure what it is. We've got another bean plant over there. And we got the 2 trees. And so that I should probably wrap this up now. But that's pretty much the update for this weekend, and hopefully I'll have it up this weekend.